and we let a lot of people down. And then I got curious and I asked myself, in spite of my team working hard and being heroic, how come it didn't happen? So good intention is not good enough. In Japan, if you ask for a date, you will never get a date. You ask a Japanese and say, when do you think that project will get done? You will not get a date. You won't get a date for a month. You won't get a date for a second month. Finally, you'll get a date. But the date is the date. Here, a date is a day in the calendar. Having said that, people in India are very creative. That's also a strength. We are very adaptive. We are survivors. We are multidimensional thinkers. So the Japanese could use some creativity because that economy is stagnant and everybody thinks the same way. They're actually looking for diversity in thinking. So going back to this 1+1 and collaboration, wouldn't it be nice to have somebody who thinks like a Japanese person in your team? From an execution perspective? From a planning perspective? With all your chamatkar thinking, it won't happen if there isn't somebody to make it happen. That is why you need to surround yourself with the right people to create synergies. And even better if you can do that with people across the world. You will be working in a global world. And you will not have time to get to understand them if you don't have an open mind. And we've all paid the price. So you're getting the benefit of this, and you'll make new mistakes, which is okay. So the question is, I came up with a way, when I traveled all over the world, and I came up with a way which I said, can I take a conscious approach? How can one take a conscious approach and sort of narrow down the parameters towards personal leadership as well as whatever it takes in business and life. So I'll share that with you. So I have a question for all of you. What is the single common currency for all humans? What? Good. IIT guys, smart guys. Very smart. You figured it out or you saw my website? And you also cheat well, so. And you won't tell me whether you saw the website. That's even better, right? The usual stuff. Yeah. So I gave you guys some magic numbers. Do you know what that is? How many wrote down the magic numbers? So that also tells you we don't take instructions very well. Right? So that's another thing we need to worry about. Okay? Because we say, I'll make my own decisions. So what is it? What do you believe it is? It is the number of days you're going to live if you live up to 80. So first year BTech, who's here? Okay, whoever came late, you do need to turn your cell phone in mute. Or you give it to me. I don't have a good phone, I have an old phone, so I'm going to take that. Okay, that's the deal. Because you have to be respectful of all the others who are here. So, who's a first year student? Okay, we'll pick him, he's a good looking guy. How many days did I give you, the number? 22,600. Approximately 22,600 is when he's going to live if he lives up to 80. He doesn't have a cholesterol, so he'll live one more year more. Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, fourth year BTech. All right, 21500. So that's the number of days. So you've already lost 1,500 days or 1,400 days in IIT if you haven't invested in the stuff that you want to do. Every minute you're spending on entertainment, and we got the numbers, right? You guys told us how many hours you're spending time on entertainment. The average turned out to be 4 hours a day. Okay, it was about 30 hours a week, approximately. That was the average. It's your choice. It is your choice. It's absolutely your choice. So that's the number. I'm only going to live 8,325 days as of today. As of today, if I live up to 80. That's it. So this is the one currency that's common to all of us. So what does that mean? You are giving me 1.5 hours of your youth in this session here. You don't have to do that. You can be watching TV, you can be dating a girl, you could be doing anything you want. You don't have to do this, you don't have to come and spend time with me. So it is my responsibility to respect your time. That is why we started at 4:00. You get it? You can call it leadership, you can call it whatever you like. It's not that complicated. I was told maybe people won't show up. I said, I don't care. I will start. Because it's announced as 4:00. The plane doesn't leave late. You get it? So that is why, and in fact, if you do this, if you think about it, right? If I start respecting your time and you respect my time, it's actually universal across cultures. It's not like a Japanese wants to come on time and an Indian doesn't want to come on time. Nothing like that. So this is the stuff I was trying to normalize because I was going across 17 countries and I said, I can't do this switch on and switch off because the Dutch think differently, the Japanese think differently, and so on. I asked myself, there have to be some universal values I have to extract out of this. And it hit me suddenly that time is a currency. So Stephen Covey, how many have heard of Stephen Covey? 7 Habits. He said, imagine what people will write on your epitaph and start working backwards. Okay? So T is the time. That's a currency. M. Mentoring. How many have mentors? Okay, we got the survey that some of you go to your professors. Very few of you talk to professors about life and so on. That's your choice. You see, it's reasonably easy to be cynical in life. It's reasonably easy to be evaluative in life. But the point is, the professor is part of your life in IIT. So if you're curious and you ask the right questions and physically try to be present with them outside of class and change the relationship, there is a possibility that you will get one nugget from them. It's yours to lose. It's actually theirs to lose also because they are not looking for a reverse mentor. You're all good candidates for reverse mentors. You get it? I have a mentor for Facebook. Otherwise, I'll be a dinosaur. I'd love to have you guys as mentors. If somebody wants to sign up and send me an email, you're a Facebook jock, send me an email. Or you're an HTML guru, send me an email. Yeah? Or you're a hack, send me an email. Okay? So, mentors. What kind of mentors should we look for? Typically, when we think of mentors, we think of people who are older or more experienced. So that's one. Think of people who are peers in some other institutions or some other domains. So if you're a computer science guy, nothing prevents you from having somebody who's a buddy or a mentor in biotech. That is for the context part of it, in domain expertise. And then we talked about reverse mentors. Okay, people in the United States and across cultures, across countries, in global companies, they need to have reverse mentors. Because American economy is aging, and the Indian economy is still young. Imagine everybody having a reverse mentor. It's not done. It's not done. Sad, but it's not done. It's free. It's free. I'll tell you the last one. Virtual mentors. I told you I was a shy boy in IIT at 21. Turns out when I went to the United States, there was Ronald Reagan and Carter. The presidential debates were going on. You've all heard of Carter and Reagan, right? So I was a sports student, black and white television and all that stuff. And I saw this guy, Reagan, on TV. My first reaction was, man, this is amazing, this guy. And I made myself a promise. If I can speak 10% as well as this guy can, I'm doing okay. 10%. So what did I do every time he was on television? Every time, and he was president too, so every time. I wrote notes. I wrote notes. Then Steve Jobs came along to University of Texas, computer science department, small auditorium like this. He gave a talk. He was a boyish looking fellow. I was 23, he was about 27, boyish looking fellow, full of charm, and so on. And he told a story. It's on my blog, you can read that, about chips. And I told myself, if I can tell a story 10% as well as he can do it, I can do it. I'm happy. And I would read about Steve Jobs in any article and every magazine because there was no YouTube at that time. And I was trying to become an entrepreneur, and so I was crazy. I would just read and read and read. That's the point about being a student of leadership. It takes a lot of effort. And that's how I found out that Steve Jobs practices for 30 days. So I told myself, if he's that good and gifted, and somebody like me who's a donkey, it's going to take a lot more time. My kids' Arangetram. You all know what Arangetram is? The first dance concert? Yes? Come on, come on. If I'm boring you, you've got to tell me. Raise your hand if I'm boring you. Oh, good. You're too polite. So, dance concert. Okay? And this is an example of reverse mentor. It's supposed to, it started at 4 o'clock. It's supposed to start at 4. My kid told me before the concert, Daddy, you get to welcome people for 1.5 minutes. That's it. Because she said, Daddy, you give a long lecture, so you get only 1.5 minutes. Sorry. And I don't like to speak with a note piece of paper, so I do extempore. So I wrote down the whole thing, welcome address, and then I practiced it in my head several times. But on the day of the thing, I wasn't 100% there in my head. So as we were doing some decorations outside the hall, 3 hours before the show, I called my friend's kid, 7th grade kid, said, come here. So he and I went out, and we, what did we do? I said, record me, and see how am I doing. So he said, Ram uncle, for him to go from here to here was 7 takes. He said, you hesitated, you stammered, you blinked, you were looking somewhere else in one word, you paused. 7 takes for 1.5 minutes. Why did I do that? Because I wanted to respect the time that my friends, many of them IIT guys, were giving with their families on a Saturday afternoon, because they could be sleeping or doing nothing. If I were fumbling in front of them, I just spoiled the day. That's why. And also, I wanted to strive for the best excellence I can do, because I did not want to let them down and let my kids down. That's how it works, folks. That's how it works. So, that's M. Now, what do these guys have in common? This guy, his name is John Doerr. This guy. He is Kleiner Perkins is one of the top venture capital companies in the United States, in Silicon Valley. This guy is Eric Schmidt. He was the CEO of Google, now he is the executive chairman, I think.